A lot of you guys suggested that I should do a Q&A video, and I asked you guys for questions, and my God, did you not disappoint. I received so many questions, so many in fact that I can't just make one Q&A video, I'm going to have to make 3. This video will sit in a playlist containing 2 other Q&A videos, and they all have their own themes. This one is the university themed one, the next one is the YouTube themed one, and the final one is the more random personal themed one. These videos will be coming out a week after each other, so make sure that you subscribe if you want to check out what the other Q&A videos will go, and make sure you check the playlist link in the description down below because they could already be there. Also, because I don't have all the time in the world to give you the most detailed answers, for each and every single video there is a blog post going through all of the answers in detail. But I have a lot of questions to get through, so I think we should get on with it. Sorry to interrupt, but it's Future Jamie here, and I have some exciting news for you. If you are watching this on the 31st of August 2014, the day it's released, then you may be interested in a live stream I'll be doing with a fellow YouTuber, Jake Wright. He does computer science at Cambridge, and he does a live stream every single Sunday so that people can ask him questions about university. This week I'll be joining him, and it'll be a chance for you to figure out the differences between, say, Cambridge and Bath. And failing that, if you ask a question that isn't related to either Cambridge or Bath, you will be able to see 2 different people's opinions on that same topic. It'll be similar to what I did with the Freshers FAQ video, but it'll be live. It starts at 8 o'clock and it's on Jake Wright's channel, and I'll link it in the description down below. If you've missed the live stream, then don't worry, leave some questions in the comments down below, and we're planning on doing a couple of collaboration videos in order to answer those questions. I'm going to hand back to Past Jamie now, but remember to leave some questions in the comments down below and join us at the live stream if you can. Take it away, Past Jamie. UJIK asked, what year did you enter university and why CompSci? I joined university in September 2012, and I picked computer science because firstly I find it extremely interesting, but secondly it gives you like an adrenaline buzz. When you've designed something and you've created something that you didn't think you'd be able to create, or that's a little bit more complicated than the other things you've been able to create, or you solve a problem that you've been stuck on for like a good hour or 2, there is like an overwhelming feeling of like self-achievement. It's nothing else I've done has ever given me such a feeling of that was really good. You know what I mean? That kind of... It's kind of a controlled creativity in the sense where if you were in like woodwork or RM or resistant materials or whatever, and you were told to build a box, you'd have an idea of how to build that box. But then when you try and make it, that box is shit. Programming is a bit like that, except you're not held back by the limitations of your own useless, pathetic self-coordination. You can have an idea, and then as long as it's possible in the world of computer science, and a lot of things are, you can do it exactly how you wanted to do it. The next question is pretty similar. How did you pick what you wanted to study at uni, and why did I choose that subject? Basically because I'm really interested in the programming, the software engineering side of computer science, and that's why I picked the University of Bath, because they focus heavily on that rather than hardware. Next question is asked by Isabel, and she asks, did you always want to study computer science, or did you gradually develop an interest for it at a later stage? For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a lawyer, and I've always wanted to study law at university. There was a stage when I was going through GCSEs that I wanted to maybe do music, and then when I hit A-levels, I was then deliberating between law, computer science and maths. While I did always want to do law, at GCSE and A-level I only picked the subjects that I was most interested in, the subjects that I found interesting and that I could do well. And that meant that I was leaning further and further away from the English aspect of education, and I went towards the sciences and the maths. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't bad at English, I just found it insanely boring. So while I was naturally leaning away from that kind of subject, I still really wanted to do law, and it wasn't until I got to A-levels that I did computing and computer science, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, I don't know what to do. What the hell should I pick? And I kind of hit a crossroads. I didn't know whether to pick my newfound obsession, which was computer science, or my long admired idea of being a lawyer. So I applied for a summer school at Cambridge to do law for a week. And my God, it was the most boring week of my entire life. Don't get me wrong, I really like some aspects of law. I really like the idea of law, but I hated having to read all of the case studies, have to analyse different things, trying to take your own meaning on things. There wasn't any hard facts, and that really, really bugged me. And I'd really love to be a lawyer, but I'd hate to go through all the law degree stuff. So short answer is no, I didn't always want to do it. I got really excited by it as soon as I started doing it in A-levels, and I've been obsessed ever since. The next question is asked by Teenage Years 2000, and he asks, how did you get through secondary school and college without going mad? How did you stay sane? I'm not aiming this at you either, I'm aiming this at everyone, by the way. Just don't take anything I'm going to say personally, because I'm going to be brutally honest. If you are struggling in your GCSEs, and it's driving you insane, then you're either doing it wrong, or further education isn't for you. University isn't for everyone, and I think it's very important to consider whether it's actually for you before you apply. You could be the kind of person who would prefer to go through an apprenticeship route or something like that. So if you are struggling at that stage, and you don't think you can pick that up in A-levels, and you don't pick it up in A-levels, then university might not be for you. However, if you aren't struggling and it's just stressful or whatever, then you might potentially be doing it wrong. A lot of you aren't at the stage that you should be considering university. And to be honest with you, it's 99% my fault, or other vloggers like me that make you think so much about university. At GCSEs, you should not be considering university in any way, shape or form. I'll let you into a little secret. It's a brutal secret, but the stage that you are at in your education system only matters to the extent where you unlock the next stage. If you were to drop out at GCSEs, they would matter. If you went through to A-levels, your GCSEs don't mean shit anymore. And again, if you do a degree, no one cares what your A-levels were. It's just a stepping stone. You have to do well at your GCSEs to get into A-level and etc, etc. So going back to me, in the time that I was doing my GCSEs, I really wanted to do law. So what subjects did I pick? I picked applied ICT, separate sciences, music, French, and electronics because we had to pick a DT. None of those are tailored towards law, especially music. I picked music because I enjoyed it. No other reason. I enjoyed it and I knew I could do good in it. The only one I didn't enjoy on that list was French, and that was because I was lied to, and before I picked my GCSEs, I was told that universities wouldn't accept you if you didn't do a foreign language, which, let me tell you now, if you're being told this precise moment in time, it's absolute horse shit. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is, I picked my GCSEs in a broad sense. I picked what I liked, I picked what I'm good at, and I picked ones that would open as many doors as possible. There was a chance that I might want to go through the music route and maybe go into music composition for films and stuff. In fact, that's my dream job. I would love that job. I could have done that, and I opened up that music door just in case I wanted to. I picked the sciences because I really enjoyed them. I picked applied ICT because I enjoyed the structure of ICT and how the courseworks worked. So I did really well at that. I got into my college of choice, which again isn't really important either. It's not hard to get into a good college, and you don't need a good college to get good A-levels and to get into university. So GCSEs, if anything, is just a time where you find out what you are interested in. There serves no other purpose in my eyes unless you're going to drop out at that point. So at A-levels, still wanted to do law. What did I pick? Maths. Further maths, computer science, chemistry, psychology. I picked psychology basically because I wanted to be Darren Brown. I'd never done psychology before in my entire life, and I found it really interesting. I read about it all the time and I wanted to try it. A month in, realised I hated it, dropped out, did physics. Are any of those tailored towards law? No. If I would have applied to law, would I have got in? I was good enough for Cambridge. Cambridge offered me a place at law. So I didn't have to do things like English. I didn't have to do history or anything else that's good for law. All you needed was good grades. So again, at A-levels, your choice doesn't particularly matter. You pick what you're good at, you pick what you enjoy, and you find out what you enjoy through that. I found out after my first year of A-levels that I hated chemistry. It was far too difficult, so I dropped that one. I continued on my other four, and I really enjoyed maths, and I considered doing maths at university. At this point, I knew I didn't want to do law, and it was between maths and computer science. And again, computer science won out because it's just more interesting, and my god, am I glad I didn't do maths at university because it's bloody hard. What I'm trying to say is, don't worry about the things that are coming up in the future. Just enjoy what you're doing at the moment, and trust me, that will unlock what you want to do in the future. You will realise what you want to do, and it will unlock that door for you. However, if your degree is something that requires a subject, obviously you would need to do that subject if you think you might want to go into that into the future, but don't tie yourself down to a certain way of life now because you may change your mind. I changed my mind. Rant over. Moving on. Sam asks, things to avoid when writing personal statements. I have no idea. No university ever told me what was good or bad about my own personal statement. The only advice I can give you comes from what I've learnt from writing cover letters and things like that and applications for placements. My advice is don't be a robot. The people that will be reading your personal statements will be reading hundreds of personal statements, and you need to stand out to those people. So make yourself stand out as much as you possibly can. You have to cover the boring stuff, don't get me wrong, but try and make it as interesting as possible. Hit them hard with the first paragraph. You need to get their attention, and it doesn't particularly matter how, and you need to end in the same way. You don't want to hit it and then just tail off. You want to hit it, keep it relatively high, and then hit them again at the end. In the blog post, going through all of these answers in more detail, there is a bigger extract from my personal statement. I do come off extremely arrogant and extremely pretentious, but it got their attention and it worked. They did ask me about this at the interview. Next question. What are the biggest misconceptions about university life? That's an easy one, and it isn't the fact that you have to go out and drink to socialise. It's actually the fact that everyone there is clever, because I guarantee you they aren't. Maybe 5% are super genius kids who've been doing this their entire life and they basically know everything they're being taught at the moment. But the vast majority of people don't know what they're doing. They just get there and they just kind of make it up as they go along, and it just kind of works. They put the work in and it works. Don't think that you won't be smart enough. You will be. The university won't let you in if you're not smart enough, if you aren't on par with what they are expecting. Everyone is in the same boat at all times. Don't think that some people are finding it easy, because they're not. If they are, they're either the 5% super genius kids, or they're just putting in a lot of work. That's how I got away with it. I put in lots and lots of work. Everyone struggles at university. No one is immune to that. Our next question comes from Josh, and he asks, during freshers, do you have to do all of the clubbing stuff, or are there alternatives? It really, really bugs me that the university is allowed to put so much pressure on all of its students to go out and do all the drinking that they do. And I think times are changing. I think most universities now are receiving pressure for doing that. Bath, for example, is putting on so much more this year than they did in the year that I was doing freshers. But essentially, no, you don't have to go out and do all the drinking, not if you don't want to. It's slowly shifting from being the main focus to just another thing that they do. So find something that you enjoy doing and do that. Don't do anything you don't want to do, ever. That goes for your entire life. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. Why? Life's too short, man. Our next question comes from Jonathan, who asks, knowing you and Lovely have been together for ages, I wanted to ask, when you first went to university, how did you deal without her? Because I'll be going through the same kind of thing, and I struggle after just a week. Jonathan, my friend, you are not alone. I've had a lot of emails about this kind of thing. The answer is, it's hard. It's not easy at all. And I wish I could give you like a golden grain truth of advice that would work for this situation. Chances are that doesn't exist, and it's entirely based on your relationship. What I would say is there are 2 tips you can do, is stay in communication as much as possible. We choose to text each other because it's quicker, it's the quickest way that we can communicate to each other and stuff like that. Other options include phone calls, Skype, emails. We don't particularly like Skype. I think it's quite forced. I really love phone calls, and we have like an hour or 2 hour long phone call catch up at the end of the week. And we also send love letters to each other because we're really, really romantic, and it was all Lovely's idea, and she's a lot better at them than I am. Secondly, make sure you plan when you're going to visit each other. Make sure that you have that date in mind as soon as possible, so you've got something to count down towards, so you know when you're next going to see them. If it's possible, organise the next date before you even leave. It's what keeps you going, because you get a little countdown on your clock on your phone, and you can see it counting down, and you just get more and more excited as time goes on. And otherwise, after Freshers Week, it gets easier. When you're in university life, you're pretty busy. You don't really have much time to sit down and think and worry and stuff like that. There are times when I worry, and there will be times when you just kind of go, oh, I just really miss them, and I'm just going to put my pajamas on and watch shit TV in bed because I just don't want to socialise with people because I miss them so much. There will be times like that, and I'm not going to say there won't be. But you're going to be so busy and your mind's going to be on other things all of the time that those are quite infrequent. And our final question comes from Jonathan, and he asks, how did you schedule your time at university? You kind of just get used to it. I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I really enjoy work, and I spend a lot of my time doing work, and I probably do more work than a lot of the other people I know do. But I essentially work on a kind of prioritised first in, first out system. As soon as you give me some work, I will do it unless I have something more prominent, more important to do, in which case that gets shunted to the top. So generally what I would do is every day when I get in from lectures, I will quickly type up all of the lecture notes, which is a really good way of revising, by the way. Just reprocessing it a second time round. You write it up, you condense it down as much as possible, you lengthen out bits that you didn't quite understand, etc. But then what I would do is I would do the next bit of work that's done. So if I've got some coursework to do, I will do that. Or if I know that this coursework is going to take more time or it's more important, I will do that. What I don't do is jump in between projects. I'm the kind of person where if I start something, I need to finish it. So I start an essay, and that essay needs to be finished before I do something else. Otherwise, I'll probably leave it and I'll come back and I won't understand any of the bit that I've done before. I much prefer finishing early and being able to live stress-free for a week than kind of going out and enjoying myself with the stress hanging over my head, if that makes sense. And that's all of the questions for this university section of the Q&A. I told you it was long. There's a lot of these that I could easily make into their own videos. If you would like slightly more information on some of the answers I've given, the blog post containing longer answers is in the description down below. And if you want to see any of the other Q&As, the YouTube Q&A and the personal Q&A, then you can subscribe or click in the playlist link in the description down below as well. If you guys like this kind of video, then I will do it more frequently, and hopefully I'll get less questions and I'll be able to put them all into one video instead of having to do 3. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and in another Q&A or another video in the future, I hope to catch you later.